Yo, what's going on, guys? Al here, and it's the first episode of Chill Lion. Just to give you guys a basic understanding of the structure of the show, I'm pretty much gonna give you the verdict rather early. I don't want you really to have to wait until the end of the episode to find out what I'm grading something. Especially because towards like the later part of videos, I'm probably gonna go over spoilers and whatnot. So, just in case anyone hasn't seen something I'm talking about, I'm do the verdict pretty early. The rating scale, I'm doing 1 through 10. And I noticed like a lot of reviewers online or whatever, like when it comes to just good movies overall, they tend to just fall in love with like that 8 to 10 category. And I kind of want to just use more of the scale. So like anything that's gonna be rated like 6 through 10, in my eyes, is gonna be considered good and watchable. There's just gonna be levels to it. Um, Same thing for 5 through 1, and just the opposite. Obviously, it's gonna be bad movies, different levels of shit, of course. And yeah, I know a 6 doesn't exactly sound sexy, but it doesn't have to be bad. And just like when it comes to films nowadays, there's just so many factors in creating a good movie. So I feel like we should have more complex grading. So yeah, that's pretty much basic structure. Today I'm gonna be talking about a movie that's pretty relevant right now, and it's the reason why I'm choosing it. And I'm gonna talk about Godzilla versus Kong. Now, going into the movie, what can I say? I wasn't that excited about it. I thought it was gonna be just your typical blockbuster commercial, big budget movie, a lot of CGI. And I guess the biggest reason I wasn't really excited about the movie was just the first two Godzilla movies, if I must say. Now the first one, I remember I was advocating for this movie pretty hard, and it's because the trailer was amazing. I was really excited for this movie. I remember it just being intense. I see Aaron Taylor Johnson. He's jumping out of a fucking plane, and everyone's got those red flares. It's coming down and whatnot. And the smoke clears, and oh my god, you get that hint of Godzilla. And I just remember just wow, like that trailer. I could probably go back and YouTube that trailer and still get excited for the movie. But then I go see the movie and it was just kind of underwhelming. Bryan Cranston, who's like marketed as like the big lead actor, coming off his amazing Breaking Bad performance, is like in a quarter of the movie. Then they barely show Godzilla. I remember being in the theater like, oh my god, was that his tail? Or like, holy shit, is he walking? No, he's just going in the water. We almost got him that time, but obviously he was shown towards that the big finale of the movie, but it wasn't enough. So the first movie wasn't bad, but it was definitely just I was definitely disappointed. It just could have been so much more. Second movie comes along, and they hear a lot of the complaints from like fans, and they give us a lot of monsters in the second movie, and the monsters look great. The fighting was decent, and but then what really anchored that film was just the writing. I guess when it comes to bad writing, like I really feel like it influences the performances of the actors, because the second movie had a good cast, a lot of experienced actors there too. But no matter how good the talent is, they could only work with so much. And the director and writing was just like it just could have been so much better. Now, I will say the second movie did a solid job of, obviously, like I mentioned, having iconic like monsters, like not only a lot of Godzilla screen time, but plenty of scenes with Ghidorah and stuff. But it did set up this Kong and this Godzilla versus Kong movie pretty nicely. They had a lot of elements in that second film that are key parts to what's going on in the third movie for sure. And then Kong's like solo film, it's hard to follow up Peter Jackson's King Kong. So like that movie at least did a decent job of just putting itself in its own lane. I felt like it didn't try too hard. So like even though the first Kong movie really wasn't anything special, I thought it did its part, and of course it got everybody excited for this movie, Godzilla versus Kong. So yeah, based off those previous films leading up to this movie, wasn't too excited going in. But after watching it, I could genuinely say that it exceeded my expectations. I kind of liked it. I was able to like genuinely find things I appreciated about it. So let's get to the verdict while it's early. I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. Now, going into the movie, I thought it was gonna fall more in the range of like 4 to 6. But even though it's not a perfect movie, and there's definitely a few things that I don't like about it, and that don't work. I guess just because of maybe my expectations were so low going in. I don't know. Like I thought they did a solid job, and I think it's earned a 7 out of 10. Now, I am gonna probably start diving into more of the movie, just in general, things I liked about it and things I didn't like. So like, if you didn't see the movie yet and don't really want me to reference scenes, definitely come back, so we could compare our ideas and opinions. But if you don't really care, or if you already saw the movie, and if you don't even plan on watching the movie and just want to get a gist of what the movie's all about, then yeah, keep watching. Let's dive into it a little bit. I guess I'll start off with things I liked. I thought it had a strong opening, and not only with having a strong opening, of course, just like having the brief intro credits of just refreshing everyone's memory on what happened in the prior films. But it delivered some pretty cool visuals and like historic stuff. It was a good opener. Um, I really liked the pacing of the movie. I thought everything kind of led into everything pretty nicely. I guess thinking about pacing, the one thing I guess I could say I disliked within the pacing was just like some of the setups, because I think it just made the movie a little predictable. Now, part of the predictability you could kind of blame on the trailer. Nowadays, with movies, it's like I don't even really like really watching movie trailers anymore. If they're short and sweet, hell yeah, like get me excited to see the movie. But trailers nowadays, I feel like they literally cut up the movie from beginning to end and put it all into like a mini clip. That's the trailer, and you're literally seeing the timeline play out in order in the trailer. Like that, I feel trailers like that make me feel like I've seen the movie already, and that's kind of how the trailers were for this movie. So that hurt it, and it made it really predictable, and it definitely gave up way too many clues, like Mecha Godzilla. Like that was supposed to be the big reveal in the second act of the movie. Like holy shit, like these guys are getting their rounds in or whatever, but in the shadows is this robot version of Godzilla that's the real threat that they need to be worried about. That was completely telegraphed, and you gotta blame marketing on that one. You don't need to include everything. Like fans had their theories and everything figured out like before the movie even came out. So predictability is definitely something I didn't like about the movie. Let's go back into a positive light for a second, into something else I liked, and that's just the fights. The fights in general were pretty good. I felt like each monster had like their signature style. um they were actually able to work in combinations and show like some legit technique in some of their strikes. I remember like Godzilla at one point like delivered like a nice sidekick, and I was just like, okay, Godzilla likes MMA. He's been watching some UFC. Like that was pretty good form. And Kong, of course, he had the hands and stuff, and he was definitely rugged, definitely used his power to his advantage. So the fights were good. Each animal had their style, like I said. But another thing I liked about the fighting in this movie was it just wasn't like one big lead up to them fighting. They got their rounds in. Like, that first fight was pretty solid. It was about like 40 minutes into the movie. The one thing I didn't like about it is just like, whose fucking idea was it to transport Kong over the ocean? You know that you're literally telling the audience, like, hey, we are trying to avoid this clash because, once Godzilla has an idea of Kong being out there, he's coming after him. He's ready to get right. Like, Godzilla's like wants to be the top apex predator on the planet. So, all right, we got to transport him. Let's transport him over Godzilla's territory, the ocean. Makes perfect sense. So, going into that first round, like, Godzilla had a huge edge. And, he literally almost drowns Kong to death. Kong put up a good fight, but he starts getting dragged. And if it wasn't for the humans and their military technology, like, that would have been the movie right there. Godzilla would have won. But whatever, movie goes on. They end up fighting again in Hong Kong, which that was a huge like for me because visually, even before they started fighting, Godzilla walking over Hong Kong, oh my god, that skyline was gorgeous. That city looks beautiful. Like, I would not mind visiting. That scene alone made me want to go visit Hong Kong. Especially that pink building with that like neon light vibe, that was sick. But yeah, that shot was gorgeous. Obviously, Godzilla screws up the ground. He's able to find Kong, and they start getting right. And I don't know, those shots during that fight was pretty good. Kong gets the second round, which they literally have a line for that. And I'll get more into like the one-liners in a sec, because that's actually a dislike about the film. But Kong gets that second round. Godzilla gets up. Starts to become morning, I guess you could say. The sun starts to rise, and they're still going at it. Godzilla pretty much starts washing what am I talking about? Godzilla starts washing Kong. Excuse me, I'm a little baked. But yeah, Godzilla starts washing Kong, and it gets to the point where like Kong is literally on the brink of death again, just like he was in the ocean. And Godzilla thinks he has him, so he's just like, yeah, this guy's done. He doesn't want any more smoke. I'm going to just walk off. Sun's rising. I'm ready to get back into that ocean and just chill. I'm the best. Godzilla's feeling himself. But of course, Kong gets saved by the humans again. And that's when Mechagodzilla's introduced. And that was just a really good fight. It really showed Mechagodzilla's strengths. And I know some people were complaining about his looks, but I thought they did a good job on Mechagodzilla. Thought he looked cool, and his fighting was dope. It definitely showed that he just was more mechanical. He's obviously a robot, it's in his name, but yeah, I thought they did a good job. He was beating the shit out of Godzilla. Humans bring back Kong. Kong saves Godzilla. Godzilla acknowledges that with like like just some facial expression, and he's just like, okay, like, respect, and then they start jumping Mechagodzilla, and it's basically the movie. So the fights were solid. Let's turn it back to the dislikes for a second. Just like the second film, the monsters were awesome in this movie, but yet again, the actors, like the human storylines in the film, just, they weren't the best. And that's definitely a big contribution to why not everyone was too crazy about this movie. The reason why I guess it was a little easier for me to ignore it is I felt like they did a way better job balancing it out. Felt though, even though some of the characters were annoying, a lot more of the characters in this film, it kind of made more sense, I guess you could say. I don't know. Acting wasn't great, but at least everybody in a sense kind of had their purpose. I thought Apex Cybernetics, just as like one of the main villains, like the company, I thought I liked them as the bad guys, because it kind of just made sense. they have a reason to be bad guys if you really think about it, because like it brings some realism to the film. And what I mean by that is just like you don't want to just have like a villain necessarily that's just like, oh, I hate everybody, I hate the world, or someone who's just on a complete power trip that just like, hey, I want to be the one in charge of the world, so I'm gonna take it over. No, I like villains that actually do have a perspective. Like, even though the audience is not on their side because they know Godzilla is just a real motherfucking OG, but think about it. If this was real life and you got these giant monsters fighting, destroying cities, and killing people, how can you blame the humans for making a Mecha Godzilla, a robot version to fight off the Titans? Yeah, their reasons weren't the best, which is why their bad guys were not on their side. But it just, you could understand it because that's something that would probably happen in real life. Like, even in our country, like freaking a lot of our budgets and taxes go to the military budget. So I don't know, that perspective for the bad guys, Apex Cybernetics, like, hey, we're gonna make this robot Godzilla because humans, we're the apex predators, we're the top dog. That's something that just makes sense. And I like when villains have some substance. I like when the bad guys just, they're not doing it for nothing. It makes sense. So that definitely made sense. Another human dynamic that kind of worked in the movie was the little deaf girl. Seeing the trailers to the movie, I wasn't too crazy about her character, but then while watching the movie, I'm like, okay, this, she works. The dynamic between her and Kong works. He actually has trust for her. And going back to that scene where they're trying to convince like Kong to like go into like that what was it, that hollow earth, yeah, into that hollow earth thing with the gravity shift and stuff like that. That scene I really liked because it kind of had she's a kid. Like, you ever see movies where they make the kids way too smarter than they should be? No, she is a genuine child. So when the mom's like, hey, tell Godzilla there may be more of his kind down there, like, just, she's referencing just creatures in general. The little girl takes that as like, oh, his family's down there. I don't know why I did the sign language. I don't speak sign language, but like she was like, oh, is his family down there? And the mom is being real with her daughter, and she's like, no, no, that's not what I'm saying. Just let him know that there could be other creatures down there. So she immediately translates to Kong like, your family might be there. When the mom literally just said like, no, don't tell him it's family. Tell him there may be more of his kind. She just automatically like, your family might be there, and then Kong just flips the fuck out. He breaks in there. So that worked. So the dynamic between the little girl and him and her mom, that storyline I didn't mind at all. Okay, so now the Millie Bobby Brown storyline. Obviously, she was in the second film. She's a really popular actress. Who's kidding? Who's not kidding here? Like, Stranger Things is an amazing show. Even though it's a little commercial, it's a good show. And she's one of the most popular actresses from there. So she's one of the big names drawing in some audiences. But I just wasn't, just like the second film, I just wasn't crazy about her storyline. And, her acting was all right. Like, I didn't feel like it was anything amazing. And that's not to take a shot at her at all. She's very successful. And like I said, I love Stranger Things. But I don't know. I thought I could have got a little bit more out of her storyline. Now, my guy, I think what's his name? Brian Tyrese Henry from the show Atlanta. His character worked. Some of the jokes fall flat, but I thought this was a good role for him. I thought he executed it nicely, being the conspiracy theorist podcaster who's like working for Apex Cybernetics for info and stuff. Liked his character a lot. If it was just like him and the duo of Millie Bobby Brown, maybe it would have worked a little bit better because her little fat friend, like, I wasn't too crazy about his character. I thought he was like definitely added comic relief, but not every movie needs comic relief. Like there's this trend that ever since like the universe like really exploded, where like, oh, we need comic relief. We always need to throw our jokes in there and gotta get everybody laughing. No, like there's fucking monsters fighting and destroying thousands of buildings and people, and I don't care about your little jokes. Save it. Like we're trying to save the fucking world right now. So I don't know. The fat friend did not work for me. He literally had one purpose, and it's the one scene where he's just spilling the drink or whatever. And I don't know. The one thing I can say I like about him is the Australian accent. Just 'cause I fucking love Australian people. I want to go to Australia. But yeah, aside from the awesome Australian accent, his character was just not really likable to me. So I don't know. Even though they had some humans that worked in the movie, just the human storylines, like the second movie, I thought brings down the grade to this a little bit. Maybe it's writing, maybe it's directing, maybe it's the acting, maybe it's a combination of all three. I don't know, but wasn't that into it. But like I said, I was still able to find things I appreciated about the movie. Let me look at some of my notes for a second. Yeah, I mentioned that. Yeah, I don't know. There wasn't a post credit scene. I thought there might have. I feel like the studio going into this movie may have not known that it would have been as successful or liked or well received compared to like the other films. So maybe they weren't sure if they're going to invest into making another movie. So maybe that's why there wasn't no post credit scene or whatever. But like I said, I was able to find things I like about the movie. So I think they should consider making more films within the Godzilla and Kong universe. Why not? Like Godzilla still has some like really good villains. Like obviously, they took out, Ghidorah a little early. He's like one of the best. But then you also got, what's that one? That big one. I think his name is Destroya. If you don't know the Godzilla universe like that, look up Destroya. I think there was even a Godzilla versus Destroya film in like 95 or something. That's plenty of time to like have a remake of their battle, or just in general, just like to include him in this current Godzilla universe. I don't know. I don't think they should give up on the films. Gave this a 7 out of 10. Some people may think it's more deserving of maybe a 5 or 6. But I don't know. I'm being a little generous with this grade, but that's because like I finished the movie and I literally thought I was going to have a lot more to pick apart, but I don't know. Maybe I was high, maybe I was in a good mood. I thought the movie was worth watching. So yeah, that's pretty much it with Kong and Godzilla's cinematic battle. I hope you guys dig the first episode. I guess what's to come? I'm definitely gonna try to start pushing content out like pretty frequently. I watch a lot of shit. I'm a big challenge fan, but I may not start doing content on the challenge until maybe after All Stars is done and the next season of the challenge comes out. Maybe I'll start fresh there. I don't know. Challenge content will definitely come eventually. But I'm definitely gonna be doing a lot of shows. Definitely gonna talk a lot about what Disney Plus is doing with Marvel right now, because they're killing it. They're absolutely killing it. HBO Max has a ton of content right now. Even Apple TV Plus, they've had some good shows over this past year. I'm definitely gonna probably try to do some segments where maybe I talk about like some hidden gem movies or some shows that have been out for some time now, but are not maybe as known to as like huge audiences. I don't know. I feel like sky's the limit with this. All I know, it's just gonna be film, TV base, and just good vibes overall. So yeah, if you genuinely fucked with this, then follow the page, subscribe to the YouTube, like, show love. I truly appreciate it. If you have any ideas, or if there's anything that you guys recommend or would like to hear my thoughts on, throw it in the comment section or something. I don't know, we'll figure it out. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed. Peace.
Broken all my feet, broken all my feet, broken all my feet, broken.